shonen, one of the funniest series you'll ever read. It's got Boom Boom, appearance of the city of Bludhaven, which is a fictional city outside of Gotham. Hi, I'm Glenn Simpson, and I've collected comics for over 40 years, and I'm showing off my collection one box at a time. Today we're looking at box number 116. We're going to finish up the new things that start with new. We're going to get into Next. We're going to get into Nick Fury, and then we will make our way into Night. So Nightcrawler, Night Thrasher, Nightmask, and eventually work our way into Nightwing. So it's going to be a good time. So glad you're here. Please like and comment and subscribe. Let me know how it's going. Let me know what you think. But otherwise, hey, let's get going here on Glenn Simpson's Comics. All right, so we pick up where we left off. Previously, we had seen the new X-Men, which was the period of time, really, for just the sort of the adjectiveless X-Men series from the 90s. And then later they would come back and do this actual new X-Men Academy X series, introducing a lot more new additional mutants. I don't want to say new mutants. We have Prodigy, who would be around for a while. We have Dust, who we met over in the past new X-Men series. And Surge, and some others. So, this is issue 1. Oh, sorry. And issue 4, we've got yet another of the Guthrie kids. Sam, of course, is Cannonball, and sister Paige is Skin. Not Skin. Because what's his name is Skin. Oh, shoot. Whatever. The other sister who's also got powers over in Generation X. And so we have another Guthrie kid who this time he sprouted wings. So he's a part of that. We got Hellion, who is he has TK powers, and he's kind of the troublemaker. We've got issue 5. This is the first appearance of Pixie, who's not on the cover. And Pixie, in fact, I think she's just probably in a crowd shot. But the funny thing about Pixie to me is, she's just kind of got like butterfly wings or something. She can fly, but it's not that big a deal. And then she, learns to cast one spell, which is like a teleport spell. And to cast it, she has to cast, the same, say the same words over and every time. And it's a bit like Raven in the Teen Titans cartoon. It's like, oh my gosh, she's got to keep saying the same thing every single time. But anyway, that's issue 5, first appearance of Pixie. Then we go to issue 6. So we've got a little bit of a disagreement in the X-Men and the Xavier Institute there, but they resolve it all. We get to issue 12. This one character is very upset about some things. Issue 13. One of the kids dies, gets a statue. That's what happens when you die and you're an X-Man. By issue 20, we've got Kyle and Yost, and they are the writers on, I believe, the X-Men Evolution cartoon. And so they bring in X-23, who had been previously, I believe, had appeared only in the NYX series, or maybe she appeared to somebody else. But this is sort of her bringing, more formally being brought into the X-Men kind of thing. So You know, we're taking the same characters and rearranging them a little bit. Issue 20. Issue 21. There's Surge versus Hellion. Can't we all get along? Issue 26. Got kind of an homage cover to the Days of Future Past. If you watch my previous videos, you'll know I'm terrible with issue numbers. So, but you know, that early 120s-ish storyline with the X-Men in the future, having the posters with all the characters being listed as deceased or whatever. Got issue 27, which is also an homage cover, I believe, unless they're just using the same idea. And this was Arthur Adams had done a cover for New Mutants, very similar to this. Issue 27. Issue 31. White Queen. X-23. Nimrod. By now, I'm sure we all know the funny story about how there's an entire generation that thinks Nimrod is an insult because Bugs Bunny says it to Elmer Fudd, but it's actually Nimrod was a mighty hunter from mythology, so Bugs Bunny is referring to Elmer Fudd that way because Elmer Fudd is a hunter, not because he's stupid. And thus, using Nimrod as the name of this futuristic mutant hunting android is not makes sense. There we go. '32. I remember this kid was very death-oriented, and Selene, the Black Queen. They were, she's dark magic, so there was a lot of interaction there. Quest for magic. Going out and trying to find Alyana Rasputin. There. 39. Oh, was that? Wait for it. Yep. Cool. Cool. 46. We're into the Messiah Complex. I don't remember what the Messiah Complex was, but we got some new. We got this. I believe this guy is Gentle. He's from Wakanda. We got Armor, who would go on to be in several things. Mercury, Surge. Getting a bit more of that sort of more realistic looking artwork there. Oh, and that was the last issue of that. They instead of an annual, they had a yearbook special. I counted it as an annual. So right there. Then they had a spin-off, the Hellions. So originally Emma Frost had her own school that was a rival of the Xavier School, and she had her own set of young mutants, and they were referred to as the Hellions. This is back when she was, bad. And then, so then she, gets her redemption and decides to join Xavier and is working at the Xavier School. And so they're still kind of divide the kids up into teams. And so her team is called the Hellions, and Julian here with his telekinetic powers is one of them, and he actually has just a straight up code name Hellion. So, and they have their own side adventure in the Hellions, New X-Men Hellions miniseries. Issue 1. through issue 4. There. Alright, now getting out of Mutant Land for a minute. We have New Year's Evil in 2020. It's kind of a one shot with lots of evil villain stories and stuff. The next, so not really sure where they were going for with this, but this writer Tad Williams and artist Diedrich Smith, I'm sure Tad Williams kind of owns the characters, or you know, he had come up with them, but they are these sort of underground, super strong alien type people who wind up on Earth, and Superman, you know, comes in for a minute, but it's a weird little series there. Issue 1 through issue 6 of that. We get the next Batman, Second Son. So, in the Future State series, which took place in the future, we saw Jace Fox become a new Batman, and then they kind of pulled that, what was supposed to be in the distant future, into the regular continuity. So he winds up becoming just a second Batman. He moves to New York, just to not step on any toes. Got the full face mask, and at one point, you know, what we are understood, led to believe is behind the scenes, there's at one point they were just going to totally shift over to the next generation of heroes, but then that didn't really pan out. So issue 1 through issue 4, right there. Then we have Nextwave, written by Warren Ellis, drawn by Stuart Immonen. One of the funniest series you'll ever read. It's got Boom Boom and Spectrum or Photon, whichever she's going by at that point, former Captain Marvel, Machine Man, Bloodstone, and the Captain, who he's Captain something, where something is a curse word, so we don't know what his name is because they can't tell us what, you know, he can't use the curse word. And they are agents of HATE, and a lot of this was clearly, it seems like it was going to be using S.H.I.E.L.D. and using Nick Fury, but then they punked out at the last second and said, well, we don't want to actually have Nick Fury doing these things, so there's you know, Nick Anger or something like that they wind up working with. But everybody's kind of funny. Machine Man keeps calling the humans fleshy beings, and Monica Rambeau keeps reminding everybody that she was the leader of the Avengers for a while, and this is where we really get some development on Bloodstone. So highly recommended Nextwave for some fun stuff. Issue 1 through issue 4. There. Issue 3. And I jumped to issue 12. There you go. Alright, having finished Next, we go to NFL SuperPro. This was apparently some attempt, I guess a partnership with the NFL to create a superhero who also was an NFL football player. So, this was not a big thing in my mind, but What I did do is pick up a couple of issues where they had guest stars from the regular Marvel Universe, including issue number 1, which has Spider-Man as a guest star, and issue 8, where Captain America comes to visit. So, didn't wind up, you know, being much of a big thing. It's kind of a joke, but that's NFL SuperPro. Alright, then we're going to go to Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, Nick Fury started off as a wartime war book character, and Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos. And then, as they made their way into the 60s, he evolved into being more of a, James Bond became a big deal and all that. He became a super spy. So this was like just the next thing he did after the war, and founded S.H.I.E.L.D., which I don't remember what it stands for, which is a super spy organization. It gets a little hazy as to who they're working for, but they're out there, with lots of agents, and they're keeping the peace, and they're stopping bad guys. So the series originally runs, I'm terrible at this, in one of the books where it was shared with another one, and I want to say Tales to Astonish, maybe not, but anyway, then whoever he was sharing a book with, took over the numbering of that book. So then they started a Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. solo series that ran for a bit. Jim Steranko, classic artist, did some covers. So what we have here are some reprints of the Steranko. This is like this is the 2 issues, and it's from that point where Marvel was doing a lot of these, like reprints of older stuff in very short miniseries form, and these are the Steranko issues of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So this is, but it doesn't have, like, a lot of them have like special under there, but this is just straight up, volume 2, if you will, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. So that's issue 1, with that Steranko cover, and issue 2 right there. Then in the 90s we get, or I'm sorry, in like 88, 89, we get, it must be 89, we get another Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's, the same idea. He's running this spy organization. They've got helicarriers, and they go out, and they, he's a regular guy, and he's got a bunch of other regular guys around him, and they are out there fighting crime or stopping, evil organizations, Cobra, or not really Cobra, but you know what I mean, and doing their thing. So that's issue 1. Issue 4, there, little flashback. Issue 5, fighting some aliens. Issue 8. There. Issue 9. This is all dollar box stuff, to be quite honest. I don't know that it was ever just super hot. I'm sure it has its fans, though. Issue 9. Another outer space activity. 17. There. 24. Some guest stars. Clearly dealing with the Mandarin, the classic Marvel villain who has a ring on every finger, each one with a different power. Five. There, Jackson Geis doing some superb artwork. There. Dave Hoover doing some okay artwork. Weapon Omega from Alpha Flight. They kept trying to make this happen where it's, you know, the super agents. So instead of it just being regular secret agents, they would have some super powered people working for SHIELD that they could send on missions. And but they never really, no one team became big enough to last very long. That's issue 33 through 40. Although, hey, you know, we've made it this far. And that seems to be what the book has become about, is Nick Fury leading these, you know, super-powered agents out into the field. 41. And the series ends with 47. Alright, then continuing our Nick Fury run here. Nick Fury's Howling Commandos. So this is taking the name, which was of the military unit that he commanded in World War II, and taking it a bit more literally in the sense that, like Creature Commandos, it's all, you know, fugly, monstrous critters. Keith Giffen writing. There, that's issue 1. This concept would come back as Mrs. Deadpool and the Howling Commandos for about 3 issues during the Secret Wars thing. Issue 1 through issue 6. There we go. We very recently had this one-shot, Nick Fury versus Fin Fang Foom. J. Michael Straczynski came in, and his thing that he was doing was weird team-ups. You know, teaming up characters that you're not really sure you would ever have seen, you know, together. So yeah, we've got wartime Nick Fury battling classic Marvel kaiju monster Fin Fang Foom. Alright, the one that you've all been waiting for, Nightcat. So, this was another attempt to have a real-world comic book crossover. So there was a real singing artist who was going to take on the stage name Nightcat, and at the same time that she was putting out hits, she would have a comic book, you know, telling stories of her fighting crime in the Marvel Universe, and that lasted all of 1 issue, and everything fell apart. So didn't really go very far. But that's issue 1 of 1. There. So then we get to a more familiar Night character, Nightcrawler of the X-Men, of the second round of X-Men. He's Kurt Wagner. He can teleport from place to place, and he is a big fan of pirates, pirate movies, things like that. So he gets the chance to go off into space and be a space pirate. That's issue 1 right there through issue 4. This also introduces the Bamfs, which Bamf is the side effect, or the sound effect rather, that he makes when he teleports. And so they introduced these little cuddly little versions of him, and they are collectively called the Bamfs. And there was a classic story where Kitty Pryde had told a fairy tale version to Ilyana when Ilyana was still a very small child. And so Kitty Pryde had made up all these sort of fairy tale versions of the X-Men, including the Bamfs and some other things. And so then Nightcrawler goes off into space, and he's like running into actual incarnations of the things that Kitty Pryde had made up. So there you go. Nightcrawler gets... There's another series. There's like a volume 2, and I don't have any of it. It's on my list. Then this, I believe, is the third Nightcrawler series. It's kind of hard to tell what the heck was going on because it's all beauty covers, but you do have this these pretty. They are beauty. The beauty covers are beauty. Issue 1 through issue 8. Derek Robertson. I know that his sounds like so Kurt is the son of Mystique and Destiny. We wouldn't know that for a long time, though. All we knew was that he was the child of Destiny from the who is also blue, therefore And he had wound up with a kind of a foster mother who was a magical woman, and her thing was that her particular flavor of magic involved the winding way, and so that would come up a lot. And I think so he was off at the circus finding his foster mother to reconnect with her, things like that. Issue 9, continuing that storyline. Looks like he got caught up by the circus again. Make sure we all got a good look at that. And issue 12, end of the series. Yes. Got some Wolverine. That's his foster mother. Some things like that. So. Alright, continuing our Nightcrawler Fest. We have this series from the Marvel Now period. Hanging out with some X-Men and got some Puck there. Things like that. Issue Chris Claremont returning to do some work for Marvel. Todd Nauck artwork. Issue 1. Chris Samney doing the cover. Through issue 8. Todd Nauck doing the cover now. Got all kinds of adventures going on. Potential love interest. There. Got issue 9. He's on the run. Through issue 12. Nightcrawler and all his buddies. There. Alright, then we go to Nightcrawlers. So during the Krakoa period, there was a point where Mr. Sinister kind of made a big move to take over Krakoa, to take over the world, to take over the universe, etc. And what we saw, what they did was they put out some 3-issue miniseries, and the miniseries would sort of show what the ramifications were in that timeline of him doing that, and then at the end somebody finds a way to roll it back with very little changes. But there's some I forget the premise here. I think is that he manages to create what he called Chimera, which were sort of like the Super Skrull. They're beings, they're clones who have the mutant powers of more than one of the X-Men. So there you go, issue 1 through issue 3. This was an entity that was also trying to take things in a certain direction. Got Galactus. Alright, then we go to Night Force. So the first Night Force series came out in the early 80s. I used to have an issue or two, but it just wasn't anything that appealed to me. It was a very dark mystery kind of series. So I think I had sold off the few issues of that I had at some point. And then in the, what would this have been? About the 2000s? Or wait, let me see. No, sorry, 97, I think, looking at the signature. They brought it back. Just, a group of, so this Baron Winters character, he's kind of he's a neutral, true neutral magician who tries to kind of keep chaos out of control from taking over the world, and he's not necessarily a good character, but he guides other people. And so there were several series at the same time that had come out, and so Convergence this is not the big DC Convergence, this was a different one, but this was a crossover between several of those series. So I did get the Convergence issue of this so that I would have the second part of that overall thing. And then somehow I ended up with the more modern Night Force, which was written by Marv Wolfman, who also wrote the original, the classic series reimagined for a new era. So that's issue 1 right there through, I have all of them, neat. Issue 7. I kind of forgot about that. Alright, then we get to Nighthawk. So, in the early 70s, DC decides to do something cute. They create like 4 supervillains. Each one sort of is a mirror of DC's Justice League, like a Superman, a Batman, a Wonder Woman, and a Flash. And then they let the Avengers fight them. So that was kind of like, hey, look, we're crossing over with the Justice League and we're fighting it out, blah, blah, blah. So the Batman there was Nighthawk, and he stayed a villain for a while, and then he became good, and he wound up being that's when he was bad right there, became a long-standing member of the Defenders when he was wearing that suit. And so this miniseries was an attempt to revitalize him, and he gets a new costume, gets some more powers, but he didn't really get picked up on and used anywhere else. That's issue 1 through issue 3. Daredevil guest starring. Then years later, that general concept of the Squadron Supreme, the heroes of an alternate universe that are enough like the Justice League to have some fun with it, and their Nighthawk happened to be African American, and they had a fairly successful Squadron Supreme Power, things like that, set of series. And then there were a few individual miniseries and series and stuff. So that Nighthawk gets his own series for a while, and I just kind of ended up with issues 5 and 6 of that, although he has made his way. Also, they've made their way into the main 616 and are kind of incorporated into that as well. We've got one issue of the Nightman from Malibu Comics. This guy actually had his own TV show for a while there, folks. And he's a saxophone player by day and a superhero by night. The Nightman. Blah. Just one issue of that. We've got a 4-issue miniseries dedicated to Nightmare, the Doctor Strange villain. Shows up some other places. Who is literally the king of the nightmare dimension where we all go when we go to sleep. And he's always trying to take over the real world. J.J. Birch, which I think is a pen name, but I don't know what his real name is. Doing art, issue 1. Very Joker-esque kind of thing through issue 4. There. And we get Nightmask. So the New Universe was a line of comics from the early 80s, sort of trying to give a whole new world of characters in theory that Marvel could sell a bunch of, but things didn't work out and they didn't sell very well, and the whole thing went away after about 2 or 3 years. And among those was Nightmask, who was a guy who had an accident or something, and he found that he could move through other people's dreams. So the Nightmask is sort of his identity when doing that, and that this concept would get brought into the regular 616 eventually, alongside the Star brand, which was the other big series, or was actually the big series from the New Universe. So Nightmask 1, see, he's in the dreams through issue 4, right there. Yeah, they just couldn't keep a steady writer. They couldn't get, Marvel couldn't really kind of get everybody committed. Issue 5 through 8, Keith Giffen on cover. There. Issue 9. Sandy Plunkett and Charles Vess covers. Through issue 12 right there. Then we go to Nightstalkers. So in this period of time, the 90s, at Marvel, they were attempting to do is take all their kind of spooky characters, Morbius and Ghost Rider and things like that, Darkhold, and they also created Nightstalkers, which took some of their previously established vampire-y or vampire-oriented characters. We've got Blade, we've got this guy who's also a vampire, but not a day walker, and this guy who's like a professional vampire killer. I believe they had all been published. Well, obviously Blade had, but I believe the other two also had been seen before. They get a nice 90s revamp and become the Nightstalkers. They seek out the bad vampires to take them out. And there would be tons of crossovers and things with the other Rise of the Midnight Suns books. But that's issue 1 and issue 4 there. Issue 5 there. Punisher. Morbius teaming up with him because he's a living vampire. He's not a bad vampire. Issue 14, Siege of Darkness. It's like all of them. If you look really closely, there's an image behind there, but it's probably not. I think you can kind of see. You can't tell what it is, but there's something in there that, because it was Siege of Darkness, so it's trying to make it look like, you know, it's completely, the lights are all off. Issue 14. Issue 18 is, wait. Oops, sorry. Wait, 9. Thought that looked funny. 10, the totally black cover, Midnight Massacre. Then 13. Our team goes up against this electrical monster guy. Then we get to Siege of Darkness. And then the series ends with 18. Varney, the first vampire, who actually, spoilers, was behind the recent Blood Hunt event at Marvel. Then we get to, as we saw in our recent new Warriors stuff, we have Night Thrasher, who is a well-to-do African-American man who decides to fight crime. He does some of it on a skateboard. We lose the skateboard after a while, but he has armor and he has weapons and he has a lot of training. We've got this nice little foil cover here on issue 1 as he gets his own series. Issue 4, got this team that he had gone up against in the regular New Warriors comic. He deals with them here as well. Alright, and then issue 5, Javier Salteres doing art through issue 9. Temper is like he's apparently like a recurring villain. He's like the Joker for Night Thrasher, because it seems like every time I look around, he's fighting Temper. So there you go. And I don't know that I have. Do I have all of this series 10? No, I don't. But I've got. So I do have 10. Teaming up with Iron Man. They have a lot in common, you know. Through 14. There. Then I'm missing a few, but we've got 19, which is another issue of dealing with Temper, who has a thing that goes up his nose. So, you know, as all major threats do. Then, so I got to get the rest of those eventually. Then a couple of years ago, we had another Night Thrasher series, just kind of updating everything, the concept. Issue 1, there, through issue 4, teams up with Rage, who he had been in the New Warriors with, sort of evolution of what he's been up to. And then prior to that series, he had his own mini-series called Night Thrasher 4 Control. And one thing of interest is, so like Justice has, also of the New Warriors, had a mini-series, and it was, you know, Justice for something. I can't remember what it was, but it's like, I don't know how many of them they were planning on doing, but there was like a little theme to them. There would be 4 would be in the title. But issue 1 through issue 4. This is, of course, Silhouette, his sort of love interest. She is she uses crutches, but she can travel through shadows from place to place. Issue 4. Then we get to Nightwatch. He had appeared originally in Amazing Spider-Man, and for some reason was given his own book. And he is a guy who, the only thing I really remember, because this did not really stand out with me, is a guy who he's given a costume by his older self, and then within the series we see him give the costume to his younger self, so it's like it goes full circle. So issue 1, but you know, we got our obligatory team up with Venom, the secrets of Nightwatch's costume, because it's all in the suit. He's very Spawn, kind of Spawn-like, of course, but all the power was in the suit, which kind of sounds like Greatest American Hero. Issue 7, teaming up with Cardiac, who was another guy from Amazing Spider-Man around that time. There. And issue 12, the final issue of Nightwatch. And everyone cried because Nightwatch was over. It was terrible. And now we begin our way to work our way through Nightwing. Nightwing is, of course, Dick Grayson, the original Robin. He had become, he was a circus kid whose parents are murdered, and Batman takes him in and makes him his kid sidekick, so he becomes the first Robin. Over time, he grows up, and he wants to continue being a superhero. There's been 2 or 3 versions of how he goes from Robin to Nightwing, but he makes the decision to shed his Robin identity and become Nightwing. Nightwing had previously been an identity of Superman's. When Superman would go into the bottle city of Kendor and would lose his powers, he and Jimmy Olsen would become Nightwing and Flamebird, which were kind of like Batman and Robin of that bottle city. So a lot of lore there, but it all kind of comes together here, and in the form of Dick Grayson becoming Nightwing. And this is actually his second costume, I think. And he's previously known for having that sort of disco-looking suit. And I believe it's fair to say that this was also the point where Nightwing had really kind of divorced himself from the Batman books. He was a Teen Titans character. If you could imagine having, you know, individual groups, he was a Teen Titans character, not a Batman character. But eventually they moved him back into the Batman family. So he got his first solo series. It was a miniseries when he was Robin. He actually had headlined, I believe it was Star Spangled Comics back in the 1940s, and then he had some solo stories in Batman Family and in the back of, you know, Batman comics and things like that, but he had never actually had his own book called Robin. It's not until Nightwing, and after years of being Nightwing, that he gets his own solo titled series right there. So issue 1 through issue 4. We've got Greg Land on art, kind of before he started doing his, what a lot of people consider tracing of photography. Got Scott McDaniel doing covers. Then we go to the main series, which had a 1/2 issue in collaboration with Wizard magazine. So we've got that right there. Might not see that every day. I've even got the Wizard COA. That means nothing. Then we go to issue 1. And this is also the first appearance of the city of Bludhaven, which is a fictional city outside of Gotham. And if you think things are bad in Gotham, well, they're just as bad in Bludhaven. And so that's where Nightwing goes to, fight crime so that he's not constantly getting in the way of Batman or whatever. That is issue 1 of the first of volume 2, or aka the first solo ongoing of Nightwing. Let's see. So we got issue 2 right there. Chuck Dixon doing writing, Scott McDaniel doing art. Issue 4, we meet Lady Vic, an assassin. There, she's British. Issue 5. There. Issue 8, we brings back Blockbuster, who started off as a Batman villain who was kind of just a Hulk, dumb bruiser. But the thing here is the brother gets the brain, or is able to get the same strength but still maintain brains, and becomes a super strong crime lord type guy. Issue 9. Things not looking good for Nightwing. Is he gonna die? No. Issue 12. Beauty shot. There. Issue 13. Beauty shot. Issue 16. Mostly beauty shot. Gets a car. I mean, that's gotta be handy. What kind of mileage did you get on that thing? Issue 17, going up against Man-Bat. Man-Bat had started off as a heroic character, but they kind of eventually had him go bad. Issue 17. Of course, this series will be all up in the various events in the Batman stories. So we have Cataclysm, big earthquake in Gotham City. So Nightwing has to go over there and help out. Issue 20, right there. Issue 21. So Nightwing gets a fan who thinks it's okay to go out and fight crime. Does it a little too brutally. There, 21. 28. Nightwing and Huntress meet. This is, of course, the Helena Bertinelli second version, the mafia princess whose family was killed, and she grows up and decides to fight crime. A little bit of Hoot Will They Won't They with Nightwing there. 29. More of his team up with Huntress. And issue 36. He's been thrown into the big prison there. No Man's Land being the time when, after the earthquake, it's so bad in Gotham, the United States just basically says, no, we're just going to cut you off. We're not going to help you. We're not going to do anything. So, things get worse, right? And Nightwing ends up in prison. And what will happen? Well, you'll find out maybe next video, because this is the end of this box. Okay, so that's all for that box. Next time, in box 117, we will continue to work our way through Nightwing. It's all Nightwing all the time in that next box. So if you're a Nightwing fan, you'll want to be here for that. We're going to have a good time. So glad you were here for this one. Hey, have a great day.